Hi, everybody. So we finished up in Romans, and boy, it was such a good study all the way through Romans, looking at the concept, the theological concept of righteousness. I know I learned a lot. I hope you did too. I hope that it was a really beneficial time to look at Romans and think about it in the ways that we did, maybe in a little bit different ways sometimes even, which I think can be a really good thing. Even if ultimately we disagree with the way that I talked about it, it's still good to go deeper, right? To think more deeply about these concepts. So what we're going to do now that we're through Romans, is we're going to go back to the Old Testament. Paul, at the end of Romans, in Romans chapter 15. If you were here last week, you know that I talked about Paul he builds a foundation for faith on two things: on Jesus and on his scriptures. Well, what were the scriptures for the Israelites at that time? It was the Old Testament. Why not go back to the Old Testament? Let's take a look at what those Hebrew scriptures have to say about God and about who we are as people. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to start almost all the way back to the very beginning. We're going to go back to Genesis chapter 2. And I'm really looking forward to looking at this chapter because it has so much richness in there. It's going to be the story that you are so familiar with. It's the story of the creation of Adam and Eve, and this idea of the helper, right, coming in for Adam. And so I'm really looking forward to getting into that with you. Kind of the overall theme that we're going to take a look at with this journey through the Old Testament is that of God at the center. What does it look like for God to be at the center? When does God show up at the center of our lives, right? Especially for Israel in the Old Testament. But then also kind of a little subcategory for the next few weeks that we're going to be taking a look at is this idea of being known by name. God knows us, right? But it's not just about God knowing us. It's about us knowing each other. But then also this interesting concept of Adam naming the animals. Those animals being named and known by us. It's interesting. I'm looking forward to talking about it with you this week. I hope that you are going to enjoy this time as we go through the Old Testament. And this, of course, is going to build up to another study of one of the Gospels. We've already done John, we've already done Matthew, so Mark is next, right? Why not go to Mark? So that's what we're going to do. Starting around Christmas time, we're going to jump into the Gospel of Mark. And so this journey through the Old Testament is going to lead us right up to that. I'm really looking forward to this journey together. So I hope you're excited. Read Genesis chapter 2, get familiar with it. What does it have to say? We're going to take a look at that this coming Sunday. So be ready for that. I'm excited. Can't wait to dive into it with you. I hope everybody has a wonderful and rest of the week.